It's Don here from the board. Thanks for coming along and checking out this video. So this is part 3 of the Keychron K2 case video. So quick background on it, if you haven't seen part 1 and part 2, my brother bought a K2 from Cash Converters for $9. It was just a soldered PCB with a plate and some Gateron red switches in it. It didn't have a case, and one of the switches on the side was broken, didn't have a battery. So, bit of a bargain in that context, but he asked me if I could put together a simple case for it. He just wanted to use this at home, didn't need anything fancy, as long as it would actually hold up the keyboard elements and could house a battery. So part 1, I measured it up, cut the plywood that would be required to actually put it together. Part 2, I put some standoffs, some M2 16mm standoffs through the actual PCB, pressed it into the case to mark the hole positions, and then I could glue it in. And part 3, we're going to have a look at the end result, how did it turn out, and I guess a really basic sound sample. So let's switch over to the desktop, and there it is. Now what I've done so far is I've just put on a bunch of keycaps from this Razer PBT set that I previously reviewed, which actually belongs to my brother. So I've put in everything except for where the 7 standoffs are. There's 2 on this side, 2 on that side, and 1 in each of those 3 spots. And that will allow me to actually put the screws in just in a moment and then fill it up with the remainder keycaps. So part of this journey has been that there are the standoffs there. I used Titebond 3, which is a wood glue. It was only on one side after I sunk them in, and originally it dried yesterday. But I was kind of concerned it wasn't going to be enough to hold it nicely, so I applied more on the other sides where the blob wasn't, just to get a good even amount of coverage. And you know, it's quite solid now, it's not really moving, and it's fully cured out, so I'm quite happy with that. One thing I did have to deal with is, well, it's plywood, 12mm plywood. There was a bit of warp from clamping and gluing, so it took a little bit of effort to sort of sand down, scrape, plane the bottom of it flat, so that now when it's sitting on a desk surface, it doesn't rock, no more than any sort of OEM board that I may have reviewed in the past. I haven't put any feet on it, but if my brother wants to put on some bump-ons or some rubber feet and things like that, then he can stick that to the actual board itself. So what I've got here is I've got the 7M2 screws, and oh yes, the cutout. So I did measure up a basic cutout, and you'll be able to see that the cutout suits getting the actual USB-C in there, as well as, while that is the broken switch, if the focus will work, not really, and then there's the Mac and Windows switch, which still works, but I needed to have enough space to be able to get in and switch that. And obviously, because it's really thick, I made a really big single cutout just to accommodate that. How that works for the sound profile, I don't really know, but I guess it doesn't really matter at this point in time. So I am going to put these screws in, and then we'll be able to put those other keycaps on. These screws are really finicky because they're not magnetized. So, well, they're not magnetic, which, yeah, is a real pain, but that's okay. If they were, they'd just be holding on to the end of my bits, which would make life a little bit easier. The only other thing that we'll have to deal with at some point in time for my brother is we're going to have to find the missing keycaps. So that Razer upgrade set that is currently on here is designed for obviously Razer keyboards, not Keychron keyboards, and not this particular layout. So while it does have some compatibility, it doesn't have 1U keys for down here. So that is a little bit unfortunate. We are able to fill a vast majority of these though, so at least it will be functional. And the profile also is a little bit weird for some of these keys on this side because, well, they're not intended for that row on a normal Razer keyboard. The only one that's a bit weird is this one up here, which is like a light key, but I don't have anything like that in this set. I may be able to dig up a novelty type of key from my grab bag bucket at some point in time and then fill that, and I'd have to also find a 175 right shift, which is also quite tricky, but might be able to find, you know, something. Might not, otherwise my brother might have to get something off, you know, a website somewhere at some point in time. Okay, so all of those are in, and if I give that a bit of a shake, it's not coming out nice and solid, which is good. And we will now be able to put the rest of these keycaps on that we do have. There's escape. There is F1. We've got delete that lives up there. There we go. We have OP, square bracket. We've got E and R. We've got B and N. We have down and right. Now that is an Alt command and then something or other, which don't have an Alt, but I think one of them's a control. Actually, I'll just open up switch header and then we'll be able to see. There we go, there's switch header. Let me plug this in. Okay, hang on a moment. Color, plugged in. It works. Okay, so we've got switch header, and that is an Alt, that is a function, that is a control. Okay, so maybe I'll just put in the function in the middle and then he can deal with the other missing keys. Maybe I'll put the window one up in the top corner. Page up, page down. Okay. Turns on and turns off lights. Oh, it's a light mode changing button. Okay, right. Wow, how fancy. This button here changes the light modes. I did not realize that the K2 had a dedicated button for changing light modes. Cool. Bit weird, but okay. So that one is an Alt and that one is a control, and there are no 1U Alt and controls in this set, so I can't really put anything in there for him, so that's okay. So here it is in all its Technicolor glory. What can I say? It works. So, you know, you got lights coming through the top. You're gonna have light coming. It's basically a floating design at this point in time because it's not, you know, sunken in. If I wanted to give it extra height, I could have made it sunk in, but that would have required me cutting even more pieces that I didn't have. All right, so let us go to monkey type or something. Let me go to monkey type or something. Boop. Boop. All right, here we go. Right screen, monkey type. Now, I'm not going to bother with my usual calibration microphone because it's kind of pointless. This is effectively, you could call it a one of a kind. It's a unique keyboard at this point in time with a 12mm marine ply case. So I'm just going to use my ribbon mic, which is just here on the edge of the screen, and I will put it close enough that you'll be able to hear it, and we'll have a crack at this keyboard. Oi. Click here. Okay. Alright, well that was actually not too bad. 94 words per minute, 96% accuracy. It's pretty much very similar to my usual typing speed. The Gateron Reds, they feel lubed, they're really smooth. I mean, they bottom out pretty hard, so they do have an element of clacking to them. They're okay, a little bit light for my personal preference. I'd probably go a little bit heavier, but the sound profile, surprisingly, is actually quite nice. I like it. I think it might be because it's a very rigid case. It's got quite a bit of weight to it, considering it's solid plywood. And I suppose having the open side helps with accentuating a bit of that sound. If my brother wants to dampen it, he can tape mod it, he can fill it with lead, stuffing, I don't know, newspaper, gel, whatever he feels like. It'll be his once I see him in a couple of weeks, and then hand this to him. So there you go. I would say it probably took me, what? It was about 45 minutes to cut, trim, shape, glue up the actual plyboard. Took me about 10 minutes-ish, 15 minutes to set the actual screws and glue and clamp it down. And then today was probably about half an hour to, you know, smooth it, sand it, scrape it to get it nice and level. And then, yeah, what, 10-15 minutes to put it together. So about 2 and a bit hours, call it 3 if you really wanted to, going from scratch to finish. And it was all hand tools, by the way, to make this really simple but highly effective case. So if you manage to pick up some scraps somewhere, when I say scraps, I mean like, you know, random bits of keyboard, and you want to put something together that will be functional, yeah, let this be a great example of what you can put together. It is super reminiscent of the old days when custom keyboards were just in their infancy here in Australia, and people were using all sorts of materials to make keyboards with bamboo plates. I've got a bamboo chopping board keyboard. If you haven't seen that, you could go search for it. But it's like a GH60 PCB with standoffs on top of a $5 IKEA chopping board. Yeah, sounds really great, super solid, and, you know, no frills keyboard. So if you're looking for something different, then have a crack at making something. That's it. Not much else I can say. So thank you very much for coming along and checking out this video. If you like this kind of stuff, like button, bell button, subscribe button, the usual. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave your comments below. And yeah, as usual, until next time, happy clacking.